Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order the Regional Council meeting of November 24th. Just take a moment to acknowledge that the Northern Rockies Administration Center is located in the heart of the traditional territory of the Dene Cree and Dene Saw people of Fort Nelson and Prophet River First Nations. We further recognize the rights provided by our treaty and celebrate the contributions and the enduring presence of the Métis people in our region. Please be advised that tonight's meeting is available for the public to attend virtually and is being streamed and recorded. Council, are there any additions? CAO?
No, Deputy.
Any public comment on the agenda? Seeing none, looking for a motion to adopt the agenda. Councillor Soul, second by Councillor Roper. All in favor? Motion carries. Adoption of the minutes. The Committee of the Whole, October 31st, 2025. Committee of the Whole, November 6th, 2025. Committee of the Whole, November 10th, 2025. Regional Council, November 10th, 2025. Motion by Councillor Roper, second by Councillor Souls. All in favor? Motion carries. Business arising from the minutes. CAO Barry?
Thank you. I guess I should have added that when we asked if there's any CEO additions, but
That's okay. I got you. Don't worry.
got my back on that one. Just we were hoping that we would have a report back to council tonight regarding the bulk fuel site specific zoning amendment application, but we're still waiting on information. So we didn't have it in time, or we don't have it yet. So we didn't have anything for tonight's meeting. We're hoping for the December 8th meeting.
Perfect. Okay, thank you. Okay, that's taking us to item 7, reports, bylaws, policies, admin report 57, secondary arena bleachers costing update for discussion. Welcome, Mr. Roberts. I've waited all day to call you that.
Thank you, and good evening, Mayor and Council. So before you, we have our admin report for the update of the secondary arena bleacher costing. So if you will think back, way back to the 2023 year, we had started working on some bleachers, trying to improve the capacity, patron comfort, and the lack of accessibility within the secondary arena. So continuing progressing from there brings us to today, which is a couple years later, where we are, as you can see on this one, over budget from what we had coming to this year for the bleacher project. At this point, we are anticipating that we're approximately $100,000 over where we expected to be. I don't know what you're all thinking, John. How's this happen? There is kind of 3 big reasons why we're here. So the big one is there was some mandated accessibility code changes. So as we put this in, we wanted to make sure that we were making accessible bleachers for people, keep improving the accessibility of our facilities, make sure that everyone could enjoy. So with this, there was a couple accessibility changes throughout the project. We didn't anticipate that causing a huge increase, but it did create additional design and engineering costs that we may not have anticipated. And then also with that, there's additional cost to the construction portion of it, more materials, things like that. With that part of it, there was a stair redesign, which was also a big portion of this. So if you can picture the secondary rink, the old wool stairs that come down into the secondary rink to give them access directly onto the ice surface. In order to accommodate this, we have to take those stairs and turn them partway down so that we can make sure that we have space for the bleachers. Way back when we first were thinking about this, we were just setting a set of bleachers up there. We weren't getting into moving the stairs, but in reality, the cost to do that was quite high. And then lastly is within those 2 years of design and redesign and progressing through this project, the cost of materials just keeps going up and up and up. Something we see every day for all of our things. So currently, as it sits right now, the project costs are at $289,000. And then we're expecting an additional 32,000 to do for the contractor to do the actual install of the bleachers into the space. And then a little bit additional with some engineering and inspection, sign off, all those types of things to make sure that it's compliant, up to spec, and as designed.
Great. Thank you. Questions, Councillor Roper?
Thank you for the report. That's great. Not great news of the cost increases, but great that we have a better idea of how to move forward. With the approval of the updated budget, when will the project commence?
So we have a couple options right now. We've been working really hard. Our expected time for putting it in for sure would be the spring. April, May is a lot easier. The ice comes out. The arenas are mostly closed. We have some dry pad stuff in there, but the availability to do that is wide open and have a longer time to install. But there is talk and possibility that we could even do it over Christmas break if the contractor has the capacity to do it. It may take a lot. All the materials are here. They're in town, kind of ready to go. So that would be our very best we could is over Christmas break, we could take a week, possibly 2 weeks there, where the impact to the usage would be very, very low because minor hockey and figure skating all end over the Christmas break. We could shuffle a few things around and hopefully even get them installed as early as that, which would be great. We're excited to try and get something like this installed so that people could actually use them.
That's great. It seems like we've got an idea of where some contingency funding might be. My preference would be sooner than later, but I don't want to put too much workload on your staff during a Christmas break. So, I mean, the spring is fine for me as well, but I think the sooner the better, just before those costs jump up again. But great report, great project.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Roper. Any other comments? Okay, so the report is presented for discussion. So
Yeah, I can just add, I mean, typically when we get in a situation like this, we usually come to council and look for a budget amendment. But at that point, we're looking for approval to proceed. And figure it was appropriate to look for a budget amendment, considering that we've already proceeded, quite frankly, and this got a little bit ahead of us just because we were quite anxious to kind of get this done and hopefully try to get it done prior to the ice season and this got a little bit away from us. So didn't want to present the council looking for an approval per se to amend the budget that had already been spent. So the intent, quite frankly, was to advise council, besides the intent, unless council wishes to go otherwise, was to continue on because we're on the last mile, for lack of better words, to put this in. And was to book this as a project that was over budget, and we would move funds. The intent was to move the funds hopefully from the operations to offset that additional cost.
okay, perfect. Thank you. See you. Any comment, Mayor?
I don't have any comment.
Okay,
I think it's
great.
I agree. I think it's a worthwhile project. I think maybe there's a good learning opportunity there all the way around. And so we'll just chalk it up to that.
Great. Perfect then. Seeing no opposition to staff moving forward with the project as presented tonight. Thank you very much, Mr. Roberts.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Okay, moving on to report 58, Community FireSmart and Resiliency Committee recommendation. Call on staff. Ms. Thompson, good evening.
Good evening, Mayor and Councilors. So before you is a recommendation from the Community FireSmart and Resiliency Committee. They're requesting that the Northern Rockies Regional Municipality seek permission from Peak Fort Nelson Properties to grade and barricade the southern section of the pipeline mainline for emergency preparedness and wildfire response purposes. The section of the pipeline mainline that runs from the Alaska Highway south to the previous Takoma mill site is shown in attachment 1. It's on Crown land and it's tenured to Peak Fort Nelson Properties through a road permit with the Ministry of Forests. As such, approval from the tenure holder is required before work can be undertaken on the road. Preliminary correspondence with Peak indicates they are agreeable to providing a letter of permission to the Northern Rockies and condition or information pertaining to the condition of the bridge that exists on that section of road has been requested. The committee has proposed the letter is issued to Northern Rockies and that funding to complete the work is provided by Northern Rockies as well. And the report provides a recommendation based on the committee's wishes for your consideration.
Great, thank you. Questions, comments? Counselor Souls?
I have a couple of questions. First of all, I just see grading as the only thing in that ask, and that's fine. But is the condition of the road that necessitates the grading, is it my understanding that it's all rutted up from years of off-roading activity and so on that? And so is winter grading the solution to that, or does the road actually have gravel remaining on it, or the fact that it's got deep ruts in it, is there something beyond grading that might be needed if we're going to see the road function for the purposes that the Resiliency Committee see? I'm just kind of wondering about what went into the discussion around what the road actually needs to be navigable.
So there was discussion at the committee of the extent of work that needed to be done. It was felt that if the grading occurred now before complete freeze up, that there would be a good opportunity to at least level it out and then have to likely go back to that one wet area, or there's a wet area in particular where they might have to go back and check it out again in the spring. For now, we've suggested that the approval period would be between now and December 31st, just to keep it really short window to limit our liability and responsibility on the road. But I'm assuming if Peak's agreeable to allowing us to grade it now, then it probably wouldn't take much to go and get another agreement in the spring if need be.
No,
So
Mayor?
time is of the essence with respect to the grading. I mean, you're right. You're right. The more it freezes, the more difficult it is to cut those ruts out of there. But I think with the experience that sits around that table there, they felt that if they could get it done here, before it frosts too hard, that they'd be able to cut it and fill those ruts and make it passable for emergency vehicles and pickups in the event that an emergency arose. Having said all that, there's a request to find out, the state of the condition of that bridge. This has nothing to do with anything on that bridge. I mean, it's just really the road surface itself, so that we can get emergency, vehicles down there in the event that we need crews to do some firefighting.
Okay, thank you for that clarification, Counselor Souls.
Just one other thing. I think that recommending this is a good idea. I think that grading it's a good idea, but if we recommend it tonight, we should add to the recommendation that they better start tomorrow with the grading, because it's tonight's the first night of winter, and we're going to have winter, and the ground will start to freeze really, really quickly. So,
Counselor Roper?
Given that time is of the essence, I will move the recommendation that the Northern Rockies Regional Municipality request a letter of permission from Peak Fort Nelson Properties Limited to grade and barricade the southern section of the pipeline mainline for emergency preparedness and response purposes, and that a budget of $5,000 is allocated to retain a contractor to complete the work.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next before you is admin report 59. 2026 council committee and representative appointments. Ms. Aspen.
Hello, Mayor and Council. This is our annual review of our council committee and portfolio appointments. I'll just go through since there wasn't any major changes to the list, and just highlight for council what we are agreeing on. We have our appointment of deputy mayor to regional councillor Gerwing. We have appointments of standing committee reps for the emergency program executive committee. We have the chair, Mayor Fraser, vice chair, Councillor Andrews, and an alternate being Councillor Souls. And then our portfolio assignments by Mayor Fraser, starting with public safety, we have Mayor Fraser, health Environment and Senior Affairs, Counselor Gerwing. Reconciliation and Inclusion, we have Mayor Fraser. Tourism, Arts and Heritage, we have Counselor Enax. Agriculture and Rural Development, we have Counselor Souls. Recreation and Parks, we have Counselor Andrews. Education, we have Counselor Enax. And then we have our next section by resolution, and we'll hold for one resolution at the end for these, but I'll list them out for everybody. Community Health Plan Steering Committee, the appointed rep is Counselor Gerwing. Community FireSmart and Resiliency Committee, we have the co-chair being Mayor Fraser. Environmental Advisory Committee, we have the chair being Counselor Gerwing. Tourism Advisory Committee, we have the chair being Counselor Enax with an alternate appointed by members of the committee. And then we have a selection of other appointments by resolution. The Alaska Highway Community Society is Counselor Enax. The Board of Managers of the Joint Venture Commercial Industrial Subdivision, we have Mayor Fraser. Our Emergency Operations Committee, we have Mayor Fraser, Counselor Andrews and Counselor Souls. For the Fort Nelson District Chamber of Commerce, we have Mayor Fraser. For the Fort Nelson Historical Society, we have Counselor Enax. For the Fort Nelson Public Library Association, we have Counselor Enax. The Municipal Finance Authority, we have a primary rep being Counselor Souls with an alternate of Counselor Andrews and a secondary alternate being Counselor Gerwing. For the Municipal Insurance Association, we have Regional Counselor Andrews with an alternate being Counselor Enax. For the North Central Local Government Association, we have Counselor Enax. For the Northern Development Initiative Trust Northeast Regional Advisory Committee, our primary representative being Mayor Fraser and the alternate being Counselor Roper. For the Phoenix Theater Management Society, we have Mayor Fraser, and the Poplar Hills Golf and Country Club Society, Mayor Fraser. And finally, the Toad River Planning Advisory Committee, we have Counselors Souls, Counselor Enax, and Counselor Andrews.
Great. Thank you very much. So we're looking for a recommendation.
I'll
Counselor
move
Roper.
that the regional,
Oh, go ahead, Mayor.
okay, thanks. I'll move that the regional council representatives be appointed as presented.
Okay, seconded by Counselor Roper. Thank you. Okay, all in favor? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Thank you, Ms. Aspen.
Come.
Okay, moving on to admin report number 60, staff appointments, acting positions and responsibilities.
So this one, you'll see a few changes from the last time we brought this forward. I'll just note them here. We have updated the airport manager position to Mike Bond with an acting position being Ron Emmelkamp. And we also updated our recreation. We have Jonathan Roberts with an acting position being Krista Pearson. And I believe the rest should be the same as the last year's.
Great. Thank you so much. Okay, Counselor Roper.
I'll move the recommendation that the staff, statutory, and other appointments and acting positions be approved effective December 1st, 2025.
Okay, seconded by Counselor Souls. All in favor? Excellent. Thank you. Motion carries. Okay. Moving on to report 61. the NRRM reserves and surplus policy for adoption. And Ms. Pike, hello.
Good evening again, Mayor and councillors. We had at the November 10th meeting, Committee of the Whole, we presented the draft policy. We've incorporated the requested change to include affordability in the guiding principles. And I'd also like to point out that the policy refers to an annual report. We will be bringing forward an annual report, a report on actuals each year going forward. We'll have the 2024 report as our sample, and we'll bring forward that first report at that time on the balances in the reserves, reserve funds and reserve accounts, and the surplus account. Included in the administration report, what I just wanted to do was be able to highlight the existing reserve funds and the existing reserve accounts that we have at this point in time. There's no direction to make any changes to what we have. We are looking to have the policy adopted so that we can begin to use it.
Thank you very much. Any questions, Councillor Souls?
Yeah, just I was picking my brain to try to remember what the Farm Credit Canada's Agri-Spirit Fund was. You could give me a
That
take on
is, sure, that's the project that Grace Manor has, we've entered into on their behalf. So we're holding the funds as they're utilizing it.
Great.
Perfect.
Thank you. Any other questions, concerns, comments? Okay, seeing none, what are the wishes? Councillor Roper.
I'll move the recommendation that the amendments to the NRRM reserves and surplus policy number 5918 be adopted as presented.
Seconded by Councillor Souls. All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Pike. I know you worked a long time on this one, so thank you very much. Okay, moving on to the Northern Rockies Regional Municipality Zoning Amendment.
Good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and Council members. So this report before you is regarding the site-specific zoning amendment to allow the storefront cannabis retail at 5100 50th Avenue North. So our current zoning bylaw does not allow cannabis retail as a permitted use in any of the zone currently, and that is why. But however, it can be permitted on a case-by-case basis through site-specific zoning amendment, and this is why this process has started here. So typically, Liquor and Cannabis Regulation Branch, LCRB, receives application from the proponent directly, and then they refer them to the appropriate local government. But in this case, since we don't have the zone for those uses, the application has requested preliminary consideration by the regional council before they submit their application to the LCRB, so that because of the significant application fee that they have to pay to the LCRB and the uncertainty that is related to the zoning amendment, which may or may not be approved. So for this proposal, as a staff, I recommend giving first and second readings to this zoning amendment bylaw number 241, and then holding off the further processes until the applicant submits their application to the LCRB. And then we'll bring the bylaw forward for public hearing and the further processes once we hear positive response from the LCRB. After I had drafted this report, we have had an opportunity to meet with the senior license analyst from the LCRB as well. We discussed about how we can navigate this process together. And so we are on the same page at this point for the processes. Yeah, so in regard to the rest of the process for the zoning amendments, the referrals would need to be sent to the Ministry of Transportation and Transit, as well as the public hearing and notification process would have to be initiated at some point. Yeah, that's pretty much about this report. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
I do have a question, but I'll let council go first. So
Sure.
opening for questions or comments.
I know what your question is, so I'll let you ask it.
Okay, all right. So the way that I'm reading the report is the staff recommendation is that we go to first and second reading, but pause on the public hearing.
Mhm.
So I feel like by not hearing the public hearing, any concerns or blessings or whatever, we could go to first and second reading tonight, and then the applicant could not necessarily get what they're wanting, right? Because in order for them to apply to the, what is the LCRB, that's a very large application fee. But do I know after first and second reading how I'm going to vote without hearing from the public is my concern. I don't want to mislead the applicant in thinking that they have approval from council, but we haven't gone to a public hearing.
At this point, it is just first and second reading. So of course, on a later date, there is potential for this application not moving forward because there are still third reading and other processes, as you said, public hearing. Yes, there is that potential. After public hearing, it might not go through. But there is also the role from LCRB here. Typically the LCRB, after they receive the application, they do the fit and proper assessment, which is basically the background check and the safety check from their end. So what I'm referring is it might not go through from their perspective as well. But they sometimes have to consult with the public. So we were thinking of doing this public consultation together rather than doing separate and 2 times.
Okay, Councillor Souls?
I think that risk that you identified there is on the proponent that's applying for it. Because we're really doing by approving the first and second reading is the ability for them to make an application, basically. And I think that it's not I don't think that we're pausing anything or refusing to hear the public or not giving the public an opportunity. I think that's built into that process. But the cost of the application is going to be borne by the applicant one way or the other. And let's say that the place had already been zoned for that type of a establishment. They wouldn't have come to us at all. And the public consultation would still have come. And then, you know, we would have had opportunity to be involved.
Right.
I don't think we're implying that we're approving something by approving the first and second reading.
Okay, so I was on, oh, go ahead, Mayor.
So Deputy Mayor Gerwing's logic is sound. And I don't wonder, I mean, these 2 processes can be separate. We can proceed. I mean, if we zone that particular property prior to the applicant making their approval or getting the approval, it really doesn't matter. There's really no reason for us to pause that I can see. We can do first, second reading and move ahead because our process is separate from their process. So if they end up not getting their approval, we end up with a particular building that's zoned for that. So I don't see any reason why we can't just proceed right through our entire. Why wait? That's my thought.
Yeah,
And
I
that
agree.
thought came from Councillor Gerwing because I carefully considered her thoughts.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just didn't want to mislead the applicant into thinking that they had approval from council. And because I was on council when we did this specific type of zoning for cannabis related stores, it's not zoned anywhere for a very specific reason, because we wanted the council of the day to have final approval of where we weren't against it. We just wanted to control where it was going. So I do have a concern in that, if we go ahead with our process now that, thank you, Mayor, you have indicated that that property would now hold that zoning, but we might not have an applicant. I don't know whether that would be a concern of council or not, but like, is there a reason why we can't proceed? It doesn't have to take a whole pile of time. We do first and second reading. It goes up for public hearing. Unless the proponent really doesn't want that to happen, what's the negative? What's the downside of that? Yes, Liew.
I did some follow-ups after we had the conversation, Deputy Mayor, and the proponent's been advised that from a misleading perspective that this doesn't guarantee that it's going to be successful. That said, the mayor is absolutely right in terms of the process. I think what the department was looking at doing based on the conversations with the LCRB was also to create some efficiencies to do, because there's similar processes from a public council has a public hearing process. LCRB has a public engagement process per se. That said, absolutely, they're two separate processes, quite frankly. So if council wishes to proceed as we would normally proceed, that can be done also in terms of how the process specific to the bylaw process, the public hearing perspective from the zoning amendment. So, or site specific.
Great, thank you. Councillor Souls, I see your finger on the button.
I just have the question regarding the site itself, given that it is a 2 parcel, but has the same lot number. So if we give this, are we giving approval for the whole lot 5100 or just the small part of 5100?
Just a small part, because there are 2 different legal addresses for those 2 properties.
Okay, all right, that's good.
Yes.
In past years, when we've been in a similar situation, the one risk of proceeding straight through to zoning without the potential to have it occupied is that there's a constraint on alternate businesses or similar businesses within the vicinity. So because it has that buffer of where you can't have cannabis retailer within a certain zone, within a certain area.
Yeah, 300 meters from school, parks, public recreation facilities, 500 meters from other licensed cannabis retail outlets.
Yeah, so that's the only risk of going all the way through to adoption and then not having an occupant for that space or that parcel, is that it ties any other retailer within that zone from being eligible to apply.
Thank you. Mayor?
I'm not sure that's correct. Just because it's zoned, it has to be established for the rule to apply. So so number one, I guess what it does is if this particular applicant doesn't get an approval, but yet we've actually zoned it to be there, well, if there's another proponent, there's a spot already that's looked after. But with respect to the distance from another business that does this, there is no other business at this particular time. It is it's I don't want to say legal because that's not the right word, but it complies, I guess, with the expectations of the zoning. So you can consider that if it's not established as a business, it's not a business. So I think you still could proceed. If let's just say somebody wanted to do one down the street at the Morris building, when this one was already zoned, would we say no because this was zoned already? I don't think so. No reason to, because there's not actually one in this building.
So
with that,
So I think it's moot.
Okay, go ahead, Rada. Sorry.
With that, there might be another risk about if there is another business down the street, and if it falls within the 500 meters, then this property owner might not establish their business. So it might just be the zoning, but can never establish the business.
Okay, but could we not go to first and second reading, have a public hearing, working alongside and get the information from the public hearing, pause, working with the applicant, you know,
With the NCRB.
we could, yes, and well, okay, so if we did the public hearing, that information comes back to council. Council has that information, and if we made the decision to zone that piece of property, the applicant has already maybe done their process. It comes back, they are not successful, then we just don't implement the zoning.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that can be
Thank
done.
you.
So you have multiple options. You have multiple options. Yeah.
So usually, by the time they provide us by the time they do the fit and proper assessment, they should have idea about whether or not this process will go ahead. So that's why we're like, we would wait for them to hear from them. And that would be the phase that we would wait to hear from them.
But we have, and so you're still suggesting that we don't go to public hearing?
No, we can go.
Okay. All right. Okay, how's everybody feel about the Councilor Roper?
The recommendation on the table, that doesn't specify when the public hearing occurs. This is just to go to first and second reading.
And public hearing.
Okay. Well, at the risk of getting too far into the weeds of the topic, I would go ahead and make the recommendation that first and second readings be given to the Northern Rockies Regional Municipality Zoning Bylaw Amendment, 5100 50th Avenue North, site-specific storefront cannabis retailer, bylaw number 241, 2025.
Okay. All in favor?
I have one other comment, sorry.
Oh, sorry. Yep. Go ahead, Mayor.
So we have the applicant, we have the owner, which is Echo Denny, which is also a wholly owned subsidiary of the Fort Nelson First Nation. So there are potential cultural issues with respect to this. So I picked up the phone and I called the chief, and he was not aware of this. So I just want everybody to know that I made the chief aware that that this business potentially is going into a piece of property that's owned by them. So stay tuned on what might come from Fort Nelson First Nation. But I just wanted to let everybody know that.
Okay, there's a motion on the table, seconded. Any other comments? Okay, I'll call the question. All in favor? 3. Opposed? Yeah. So we don't carry. We carry? What, is it carried?
How many voted against?
One. Just one.
Oh yeah, it carries.
Okay, motion carries. I just wanted to add and proceeds to public hearing. I don't want it to stop at the first and second reading.
Well, you can go ahead and make a motion now that the public hearing proceed on X date.
Okay, I would like to make a motion then that the first and second readings be given to the Northern Rockies Regional Municipality Zoning Amendment 5100 50th Avenue North, site-specific storefront cannabis retailer, bylaw number 241 2025, and proceeds to public hearing.
Seconded.
Seconded by Councilor Roper.
Do you have
Any
a date in
comments?
mind? Do you have a date in mind, or are you leaving it open-ended?
No. I'm leaving it open for staff to determine, working with the applicant. Okay. So there's a motion on the floor, seconded by Councilor Roper. Any other comments? Okay, I'll call a question. All in favor? Oh, sorry. Absolutely.
Just so that there's clarity. There was conversation earlier about the wording of the bylaw, so I just pulled it up, and to the mayor's comment and Jaylene's comment, A storefront cannabis retailer shall not be located any closer than 500 meters from another parcel where a storefront cannabis retailer is permitted,
Okay,
whether or not a storefront cannabis retailer is an active existing use on the parcel.
Okay.
So it's actually based on permitted use, not licensed or existing, just so
Okay,
that.
thank you.
Council's aware.
Appreciate that. Yep. Yep. Thank you.
thank you. I stand corrected.
All right, then. All right, so call the question. All in favor? Okay, all four of us. Motion carries. Thank you. All right. 7.7. Oh, that's our OCP, our official community plan bylaw number 242, 2025. Miss
Me
Adhikari.
again. So this report is seeking first and second reading to be given to the Northern Rockies Regional Municipality Official Community Plan Bylaw number 242, 2025, and that the public hearing be scheduled for December 8th. If the council is comfortable to make this recommendation and based on the presentation that was provided at the committee of whole meeting earlier. We did provide referral to Agricultural Land Commission as well as to Ministry of Transportation and Transit on November 17th. We received the response from Agricultural Land Commission on 28th of November, and they only have had a couple of minor tweak suggestions for the content and a couple of considerations for the mapping. We are still awaiting response from the Ministry of Transportation and Transit. However, it is not a statutory requirement for the ministry's approval. I'm assuming we'll have something in a couple of weeks from them.
Perfect. All right. Any questions or comments, council? All right, seeing none. Looking at the one option before you, unless you prefer another option, Councillor Souls.
That the first and second reading be given to the Northern Rockies Regional Municipality Official Community Plan Bylaw number 242, 2025, and that a public hearing be scheduled for December 8th, 2025.
Seconded by Councillor Roper. Any comments? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, moving on to correspondence and yes, so correspondence for discussion. Nothing. For information, we've got a letter to Premier David Eby and honorable members of the legislature regarding Bill M216, the Professional Reliance Act. Letter from Miguel Morrissette, Assistant Deputy Minister regarding real property, of the Real Property Division, Ministry of Citizen Services, an update on the 2025 annual grants in lieu of property taxes. And a letter from George Anderson, MLA Nanaimo Lanцeville regarding the Professional Reliance Act. So I think we need a motion.
Yeah, I'll move those for
Thanks,
to receive them for
Councillor Roper, okay.
information.
Thank you. And seconded by Councillor Souls. All in favor? Great, thank you. New business items, we didn't have any. Standing items for discussion, Councillor reports. I do not have one.
I do not have a report either.
Whoa, okay. Thank you. Business outstanding. I don't think we had anything. Council, any notice of motions? Nope, seeing none. Okay. Public news, media question and answer period. Any questions around the budget? Seeing none. Priorities set by council. Council business. That's pretty general. Seeing none. Okay. So I think I'm just looking for a motion of adjournment.
So moved.
Roper. Second.
Is there not a closed meeting?
No, we don't. That was taken off.
Okay. I have an old
Okay.
set of minutes.
Yeah, you do. Okay. Thank you very much. Meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, everybody.
See you later, Mayor.
What do you think?